for help for your food addiction and you don't know where to start? Welcome to the series, The Food Addiction Frontlines, where we uncover the expertise and services available for overcoming food addiction. I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, an addiction physician specializing in sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, here to introduce you to the professionals making a difference in this field. In each 15-minute episode, we'll meet leading experts in this field. They will share their journey, their training, and the unique services that they offer for all those who struggle with food addiction. So let us help you find the treatment that is best for you. You can find information about our guest today in the show notes. Today, we speak with Amanda Leith. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi. Thanks, Vera.
All right. What inspired you to specialize in food addiction treatment, and how has that informed your approach to helping clients?
Oh, wow. Thanks, Vera. For me, it's a very personal journey. I am a recovering addict. I think I was a food addict when I was young, and then I found drugs and alcohol, and they were sexy for a while. And then when I put those down, my food just took over. And I had years and years of working really hard to deal with what I thought was a weight issue. And I did a plethora of treatments by very well-meaning professionals, from diets to exercise plans to eating disorder treatment to trauma-based therapy. I did all of it. And I just kept getting larger and larger. And with my larger and larger, for me came deep depression, anxiety, more and more unhappiness. What really happened for me was I walked into a treatment center that specialized in food addiction. And for the first time in my life, I was diagnosed with what I really had. I was diagnosed with my proper disease and therefore got my proper treatment because I was a food addict. Absolutely not everyone that's overweight is a food addict, but I was. I got proper treatment, and that's my professional journey. I was an addictions counselor. I was dealing with drugs and alcohol. And when I got my proper treatment, I just knew that food addiction was where I wanted to work. I'll say that working with drug addicts and alcoholics actually was much easier for me, but I knew my passion was being with food addicts. And I knew really that was always my issue, was food. And I knew that's where I could make the biggest difference, because I will say that nothing in my life after I was finally diagnosed with the proper disease and then got the proper treatment, nothing in my life is the same today. Absolutely. I'm half my body size and I've lost 130 pounds and kept it off. But my whole life is just, everything in my life has changed. And I actually get to live life instead of being obsessed about food and my body weight. That's what brought me here. I definitely bring all of that personal stuff into my treatment when I'm working with clients.
Tell us about your training and qualifications in food addiction.
I was a drug and alcohol counselor first, so I'm a certified addictions counselor. I'm also a certified food addiction counselor and I'm also a certified relapse prevention specialist with the Gorski Institute.
Tell us a little bit about your services that you provide, either one-on-one or group, and you have a program shift. Tell us all about that.
We do. When I shared with you that I went to a treatment program, it was called Acorn in Florida, based out of Florida. And that was with Phil Wardell, who was one of the pioneers in food addiction treatment, a brilliant man who was not only my personal counselor, but was also my mentor in this world. And I actually started working for Acorn part-time while I was still working for a drug and alcohol recovery program. And I needed to decide which one I was going to work for full time. And as I said, I drugs and alcohol were easier people to work with for me, but I just was really called and pulled to work with this geographic of people. And so Phil and his partner, Mary, sold the business to me almost 6 years ago. It's now called Shift Recovery by Acorn. Acorn, now Shift, has been running food addiction treatment programs for over 30 years. We run intensive, short, intense treatment programs that we solely focus on food addiction. They are in person, usually in Florida or Vancouver. With COVID, we added in a virtual intensive. They're 8 days, and they're just a very deep dive into addiction, what it is, and the foundation of what we need. And then that's followed by a pretty intensive aftercare program, a 10-week aftercare program that is always done virtually. And that the program used to be 5 days when I went. It's now an 8-day program with a 10-week aftercare program, as well as once we get physically sober with food, we really have to deal with our mental and emotional That's the biggest part. Food, drugs, alcohol, it doesn't really matter what it is. They're just a solution to the rest of our lives. We have a lot of programs that we work with our alumni for their emotional sobriety. We do one-on-one counseling with people. We also offer one-on-one coaching. And the difference with that is that the coaching is really the basics, like your food plan, what you need to stay and be in recovery. Counseling is where we're getting more into therapy, and we do all sorts of different modalities. We do IFS, we do somatic, we do, just depends on where people are at. We offer relapse prevention programs. We have quite an array of different programs. With the base of it, the heart of our program is our 8-week intensive treatment program.
You say we, that means you and your shift team.
Thank you. Shift has a team. There's 12 people on the Shift team, and we have 3 counselors, 4 coaches. We have our back of house people, our cook that works in our programs, and Renee in the office. So there's a team of us. I certainly do not do this on my own. I have a whole group of, and every single one of us that works with clients is a recovering food addict or a recovering addict. So we all have that lived experience ourselves that we bring in when we work with our clients.
What would you consider is your biggest unique contribution to the field or your strengths?
I was thinking about this, and I think a couple things that came to mind is this was started by Sil Wardell, who was one of the pioneers. We have a very tried and true program. This program has been around since the 80s, and the integrity of it, the mission of it really hasn't changed. We have the experience of working with thousands of people that literally have been lifted up and out of the depths of food addiction. We also, another thing unique about us is we're this middle ground between outpatient one-on-one groups or one-on-one counseling, and then the long-term inpatient treatment that's 30 days or more. We're this middle ground. We're this short 8-day intensive program that is just does miracles for people, and then followed up by the 10-week aftercare program. And I think the other thing that's unique are ways that people really thrive with us is we really focus on, like, the food is such a small part of our program. We got to get rid of the stuff we're addicted to, and then we focus on everything else. And it's really about that emotional sobriety. We've really got some tried and true tested models that we work with for people on that.
What about 12 step? Do you support 12 step? And what do you do with people who don't want to do 12 step?
Yes, we absolutely support 12 step. We are an abstinence-based 12-step treatment model for sure. That's what we know. That's what all of us have done. We stick in our lane with what we know. Absolutely, there's people that can get recovery without the 12 steps. There's many brilliant professionals that work with people without the 12 steps. People don't have to believe them when they come to us. However, they're going to hear a lot about the 12-step recovery program when they're with us. Our aftercare is focused on that.
What would be some limitations that your program or you have?
That would be one of them. That would be one of them. It's interesting because we definitely have had many people come that are like, either have been in the 12 steps and had a bad experience or have no interest. I will tell you that many people that come and see our twist on them, they realize that it actually works for them. For some, it simply does. That is it. We have this treatment model that works. We really stick to it. This is what we know. So if people don't want that, I have many professionals that I can refer them on to that will work with people in other ways. Also, because food addiction is not, people aren't covered by insurance, so people have to pay out of their own pocket. That's definitely a limitation. Because we don't have a consistent brick and mortar building and we just do short 8-day programs, people can't come to us any day. If someone's desperate today, they're going to have to wait to come to us until there's a treatment program. It's not like they can just call us and say, I'm desperate today, and then they can show up on our door the next day. Not necessarily. We run about 8 intensive treatment programs a year.
Like one every 2 months?
Yeah, about every 2 months, whether it's virtual or in person. And the other thing is we're not doctors, we're counselors. So we're not prescribing people their medications or changing their medications, or we really stick to our lane and what we know.
How do you handle people who have co-occurring mental health issues, depression, eating disorder?
Yeah. And let's be honest, in my experience, by the time people get to me, they're all wrapped up in those.
Yeah.
To be really honest, what we find is many of those depression, anxiety, eating disorders can be treated with our model. We're very good at treating them. And if we can't, if it's bigger than us, we absolutely refer them out. We have doctors that are specialists in food addiction, and we send people to their own doctors. There's other psychiatrists and specialists. I just want to say that it is phenomenal how all of those pieces can slowly start to recover once we are getting proper food addiction treatment. And we have no problem referring out. If it's not in our lane, there's many people that need us. We need teams of people to support us, and we're a supporter of that.
It takes a village, and you are a
It's a
central
village, yeah.
plaza in that village. Yeah. Working in the front lines is hard. That's why we call it the front lines. How do you make sure that you don't get in the way of your clients?
Oh boy, that's a good question, Vera. And I'm sure over the years I have gotten in the way of my clients. Here's what I know I do is that I'm a recovering addict first, meaning I know that I'm an addict and I have to do my own recovery. I work really hard at my own recovery one day at a time. When I do the things I need to do for my recovery, I have an abstinence-based food plan. I see a sponsor. I have my own therapist that I see. And I have many peers and mentors that I talk to if I'm struggling. And one of the conditions to work with Shift, all of the counselors have to do exactly what I just said to you. We all have to be working a fairly rigid recovery program. They need to get outside help. They need to have a mentor that they talk to if they're struggling. When I'm in groups with people, I can relate so much to what they're saying. And the only way I can show up for them is if I'm doing my own work in the background. And I know that if I stop doing that, I am no good to anybody. I can't help my clients. I can't help me. The whole Shift team, that's one of the requirements to be with us. That's what you're doing.
For people who are listening, what would you tell them is the next step? How can they find out about you, about your fees? Just generally, what's next steps for the client or that listener?
Yeah, we have several different things. Our website is foodaddiction.com. So that gives you a lot of information. We actually offer several free things. One is a free consultation, and that's with one of the counselors. And it really it doesn't just talk about us, Shift. It talks about food addiction in general. We talk about different types of eaters, what type of eater you think you are. We use the Yale Food Addiction Scale to find out if people are food addicts. And then we will talk about our services. And we also really share in that other services that have nothing to do with Shift that may work for them. Our passion is really about, we want people to know that food addiction is real and that there is treatment, whether it's with us or somebody else. That's a free consultation. They're 30 minutes, although I laugh because they're always way longer than 30 minutes, but that's the idea. And they're free. The other thing is we have a free, 4 times a week, we have a group. It's called Shift Strong Group. And alumni and new people come on. It's just a check-in where people say what's going on for them. It's a great place for new people to show up. It's just an hour. It's free. And you get to hear other people's stories. Do I fit in with this? You can ask questions. You can get phone numbers. People are more than willing to talk to you. Those are called Shift Strong. All the meetings, they're Zoom meetings. They're all on our website. As well as we do have 2 free 12-step meetings a month. One's on relapse prevention, and those are available to anyone. Those would be your next steps. Sign up for the consultations. They're the best way to hear about us. I'll just talk a little bit about cost. We are a business. There is a cost for what we do. We work really hard to work with people that are struggling financially. And one of my passions, and it's also not the greatest thing for someone in business, but I never want finances to get in the way of people that are in their recovery. We work really hard with people, whether it's payment plans or people can apply for emergency funding. We have scholarships. So if people go to our website and the cost is just too much, check us out anyways. Get a consult. You can talk to us at the office. I really can say that we go above and beyond with trying to work with people financially. And look us up and schedule a consultation. There's no pressure on the consultations. It's just information. It's just information.
Thank you, Amanda. Do you have any last words to say to our listeners?
Yeah, I think what I would say is that I just said it a minute ago. Part of it is that my mission, my purpose, after I went through so many years of struggling to get the proper help, and thank God I kept going, and thank God for all the people that tried to help me. You want to find out who you are and what works for you. And whether it's food addiction, an eating disorder, you just need some education or a combination of all 3. There really is help out there. And if food addiction is what's going on for you, just know that food addiction is real. It's not your fault, and there is proper treatment. There's so many of us now that treat this in different ways. Get some help. We'd love to help you.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda. That's wonderful.
Sugar is the enemy, corrupting the minds of the teens, expelling you not to proceed. Your body's your temple, your mind is your key to a life tapped into happiness. Have it, don't dream it. If only you could see it. It's all in you and I. and you and